So I got this question that says, how do I import an item list with lot numbers into my QuickBooks file that already has an existing item list? Okay, so let me answer that question first by kind of setting up this scenario so you're on the same page. I'm going to go into the item list here and then show you that we have a complete item list into our QuickBooks. All these items have inventory items, they have inventory quantity on hand, and we have just recently turned on, I'm going to go into the preferences and click on item and inventory and advanced inventory. And let's say we turned on the option called enable lot and serial numbers, and we have enabled lot numbers. Okay, so long story short, QuickBooks Enterprise can actually manage lot numbers, but now we want to load those lot numbers in there because maybe I happen to have an Excel spreadsheet with that information. So that being said, let me first explain how you would do this manually, and then I'll explain how would you import an Excel file into it. For example, if you look at this item here called reel, we got 14 of this unit reel or this product reel in stock. Let's say, for example, none of these have lot numbers. And the way you'll know if there's lot numbers, just go to the reports menu, you go to inventory, and then you click on lot numbers in stock. And this will give you a list of all the items that have lot number. That real item, or none of the items for that matter, actually have lot numbers enabled. So let's do a manual adjustment to fix this real item and send us 14, 8 to one lot, 6 to another lot. So how would that work? We'll go to the inventory menu, click on adjust quantity value on hand, and then we'll select the date of the adjustment. Under adjustment account, just pick any of your cost of goods sold accounts. That's good enough. And then we're going to type this real item. Okay. Unfortunately, you can't do the same item twice on the same adjustment. So you only have to do one at a time. So we'll do one first. Okay. And then we're going to adjust from 14 to 0 first, because we're going to remove them from the existing no lot number. So the new quantity is 0. And we are now adjusting down -14. So we're lowering our inventory by 14. We're hitting our inventory adjustments account. I'm going to leave lot number blank in this case. And there's an adjustment of $3,990. We'll leave that be. And then we're going to go ahead and click on save and new. So I've affected my books by $3,900, but I'm going to bring it back. So I'm going to do the same transaction, inventory adjustments. I'll pick the same item, real. And now the new quantity that says 8, because there's 8 on one lot number. For this lot number, I'll just type in there on the lot number, I'll type lot A. So I'm just calling it lot A. Let's just say that's the lot number I want to give it. And then I'm going to hit save and new. Notice that I'm bringing back some of the value from the 3,900 negative that I adjusted. So I'm going to go to save and new. Okay. And let's just make sure there's no errors here. Let's try this again. Lot A. Oh, you can't have any spaces in the lot numbers. It all has to be a sequential lettering. So I'm going to go to save and new. Hit yes. Okay, that worked. Let's do real again. And now we're going to bring in 6 items. So we're going to add 6 to the quantity on hand. So then the new quantity would then be 14. Okay, so the adjustment in this case is just 6 of them. And then the lot number, we'll put this under lot. I'll put -b to make it a little bit easier to read at that point. And then I'm going to hit save and close and hit yes. And that should have done it. I still have the same 14 in stock. But if I go to my reports, inventory, lot numbers in stock, we now get to see that there's the real item. And then we see the lot numbers that are in stock. If I actually double click on that line, I get a little pop-up window that shows me how much I have of each lot. I can't modify it at this point. I'm just literally just looking at them. And then what I can do is when I go create an invoice and I pick, let's pick any customer here at random, and I go ahead and pick the item real, I'm going to have a drop-down menu under lot number where I can choose which lot I'm going to sell from. I'm going to sell from lot A or lot B. So very clearly, very easy to see how lot numbers work and how you would adjust existing lot numbers. That being said, let's talk about how we would get a spreadsheet that looks like this, that contains the item name, the lot numbers, and the quantity to be adjusted. How do we get that to work? So let's go ahead and first analyze the spreadsheet itself. I'm going to zoom this in a little bit more so we can see a little bit better. I'm going to explain the components that are on the spreadsheet. So number one, most importantly, I need an item name because the items already exist. Notice that I have one transaction or one adjustment that contains no lot number, so a blank lot, and a negative number. That's how I get them out of the regular inventory and then put them back into the new one. Now, most people wouldn't have this. Most people would probably not have this negative. I'll just delete it. Most people would just have a spreadsheet that looks like this, the item and the lot number and the quantities. And that's okay if the items don't already exist and the items don't already contain the items exist, but they don't contain a quantity on hand. The reason why I am bringing those negatives in there is because I'm adjusting what's already there. So let's just double check to make sure these numbers are okay. So I'm going to go into my item list and then maximize that. And then we'll take a look at one of the items, this one right here. Okay, so this one has $16.95 in stock. So my spreadsheet is correctly taking out the $16.95 and then adding the new ones that also add up to $16.95. So that math will work perfect. You have to make sure that you're adjusting these correctly. Of course, if you in your final count is different than whatever's on QuickBooks, you can adjust whatever's on QuickBooks first and get that to 0 before you bring in the new ones. Same thing with this one. Let's look at this item right here. There's 14 in stock of that one. Okay, so this spreadsheet should work perfectly. We're reducing it, the no lot numbers to 0, and then bringing in the new lot numbers. Let's go ahead and now import this. Now, long story short, there's no built-in tool inside QuickBooks for you to do this. You actually need a special software called Transaction Pro Importer. This software is $200. Okay, it actually allows you to import almost every type of transaction into QuickBooks. I'll put a link in the description if you need to purchase the software to be able to use this. I know it feels like a lot of money to import a couple of things, but if you have hundreds or thousands of items, it's worth your while, trust me. So I'm going to click on Browse. I'm going to go find the spreadsheet and click on Open. For context, this is the same spreadsheet we're looking at here. And once that's loaded, I'm going to select Import Type. Notice that I can import almost every type of transaction. Bank statement, bill, check, credit card charge, invoices, all sorts of things you can import from Excel. But we're going to pick, not transfer inventory, but we're going to pick inventory adjustment. Where are you? Inventory adjustment. That's the type we're going to pick. And then we're going to click on Next. And I'll click OK. And then Next. And essentially what we're doing here is we're creating a template for Transaction Pro to read a bunch of transactions all in one shot and import them into QuickBooks one by one, the same way I entered it manually, but in a sort of batch way. Now, another thing that's really important, I'm going to go back to the spreadsheet, is I added a column for the adjustment date. I have to make sure that I tell QuickBooks as of when I want to make this adjustment. So I added that. I pretty much use the same date. And then on adjustment number, just pick a number, let's say 101, and then 102, and then follow through and have some sort of sequence. QuickBooks needs to see a different number in order to understand that it's a different transaction per se. So as long as each of these lines have a different number, whatever it is, whatever sequence, hopefully it doesn't conflict with current numbers in QuickBooks, you'll put them in there. That's how Transaction Pro Importer will know. So I'll go ahead and save that, go back into Transaction Pro Importer, and I'm going to go back and load that sheet again, make sure that it's got the latest and greatest information. Then I click on Next, then on Next, and then I have to do the mapping. So I have to do reference number is going to be this one called adjustment number. Account, you have to actually enter an account. So I'm entering inventory adjustments, which I think is the same account we had here. Let's just double check on the quantity on hand. There you go. Inventory adjustments, which is a cost of goods sold account. So I literally just copy and paste that into Transaction Pro and put it as a static value so I don't have to have it on the spreadsheet. Then I'm going to pick adjustment date for the transaction date, then item to match item, then quantity adjustment, not new value, quantity adjustment. I'm going to put that in there. Actually, it gets a little bit tricky because remember how we had to add up all those numbers? So that's actually quantity adjustment is not going to work unless we do what's called cumulative numbering. So this is going to work, but we have to go back into a spreadsheet and we have to do some additional kind of like life hack here. So we're going to do one called, let's call it a cumulative adjustment. And then basically we have to make sure, okay, once we go to 0, the first one could be 305. Then the second one has to be the last number, right? Plus the new number. Okay, so that brings that in. And then the next one is going to be the last number plus the additional 100 that we're bringing in. I know this is kind of crazy, but that's just the only way to make this work. And then this one's just going to be 305. So these are the new adjustments that we're going to make. And for this one, I'll just put 0. Okay, so on the adjustment, I'm going to put 0, and I think this will work. Yeah, this will work. And then here's the cumulative. So in here I go 0, and then this one I make it the same, and then the next one I make it the last number plus this one, and press enter. So this is going to work using the exact same logic that we used. I know it's kind of crazy, but you kind of have to follow the logic here. So we'll go ahead and click on save. Okay. And then we go back into Transaction Pro Importer again. I'm going to go back, choose the file again because we made those adjustments. Then click on open, then click on next, then click on next. And then instead of quantity adjustment, I'm going to use a new one called cumulative adjustment. Okay. So that's how we're going to do it. We're going to do cumulative adjustment. So QuickBooks knows, actually it will be new quantity. I apologize. Not additional adjustment. We're going to do new quantity because of what we're doing here. So we'll do here new quantity. And I'll just go back for a second. I know this is way confusing. This is only the case because we went from a number to 0, and then we're adding it back. If we weren't bringing that 0 adjustment, then we would just use additional quantity and use this column E. But in this case, it's just because I'm doing this. An alternative could be creating an Excel spreadsheet that only contains the 0 adjustments, doing those once as a new adjustment, as a new quantity, and then bringing in the adjusted quantity as a separate entry. But because I'm sort of mixing both, I'm using this additional logic. Let's see if it works. So I'm going to go ahead and click on next, and then click on next. And I'll pick here inventory adjustments, and then click on finish and OK. And we'll wait for that. Shouldn't take so long. There's only 7 adjustments. Okay, perfect. That finished. Then we'll hit OK and close that. So what we're looking for essentially is, and I'll just delete this and delete this and delete this. So what we're looking for essentially is this final count. So let's go back into QuickBooks and let's go to reports, inventory, lot numbers in stock. Okay, there we go. And we have this item here, round. Okay, so let's double click on that and let's check that one out. And there we go. We got 4 of one and 10 of the other. And this will match our spreadsheet. Okay, so that's perfect. That's exactly what we wanted for it to do. We wanted those lot numbers to be loaded in there. Now, let's make the assumption. I'm going to make this a little bit different, a little bit less confusing. Let's make the assumption that we're bringing a new item list. And I'm going to go into Excel and let's do here 1001, 1002, and bear with me for a second. And we're going to bring in a new item list, brand new items that we've never seen before. So this is RST 1000, and I'll copy these down. So again, these are just made up items. And then this is PCR 5000 or 500, whatever number I'm putting in there. And then let's say this is 600, 900, and 500. and this is 200 and 1,000. Okay, so I'm bringing brand new items. Again, brand new items, not the lot numbers yet. So this is my inventory count with lot numbers. But the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in the items by themselves. So I'm just going to copy the item list here and come into a new sheet and just paste the items in there. One thing I'm going to do is I'm going to select the whole thing and go into data and click on remove duplicates, because I don't want to import any duplicates. So now we're down to just 2 items. And let's just start with that. We're going to bring in those 2 items. I want to insert a header and just call this item name. And then we'll save that. So this is sheet number 2. So we're going to go into QuickBooks, go to list, item list, make sure we don't have any of these PCR in there. Okay, that doesn't exist. Good, perfect. So the item doesn't exist yet. We're going to import it into QuickBooks. So we're going to open up TPI or Transaction Pro Importer. I'll click on Browse, bring that spreadsheet again so it refreshes. This time I'm going to select sheet number 2 because I had the data on the second sheet. And then the import type would be the item list. So I'm bringing in the item list first and then doing the lot numbers second. So I'm going to bring in the item list. There should be one called item list somewhere. Item list. There we go. Item list. And then I'll click on next. And then I'll click on next. And then this spreadsheet is actually pretty weak. It only has, one column in there. So I'm going to do item name. And then what I'll do is I'll do static formulas for the rest. So this is an inventory. Inventory. So I'm just typing inventory in there on the static formula. And then I need to bring in the income account. And let's say for the income account, let's go to QuickBooks. And let's go to the chart of accounts. And we'll pick any of the income accounts. Okay, let's do this one. So we'll right click on that and click on edit. And I'll copy the account name. Go back into Transaction Pro Importer and bring in that default income account. Then I'm going to go into QuickBooks. Look for my cost of goods sold account. There it is. Right click edit. And copy that and paste it into my static formula. Just because it's a requirement that we do that. Go back into QuickBooks. Let's see what my inventory asset looks like. There's going to be another current asset. Okay, this one called materials inventory. I'll right click on that, edit, copy that. So notice I'm just making sure that all these items are mapped correctly. I'll leave cost, price, all that stuff out. This should actually be sufficient for me to import. I got my inventory type. I got my item type, my item name, and the fixed values for the accounts. I'll click on next, and then finish, and then hit OK. See what happens. Good. Lists were imported. Let me go into QuickBooks, type PCR, or let's go to the item list rather, not the chart of accounts. There's PCR, so there's my PCR item. If I edit it, there's my item I just imported. Remember, I didn't bring any descriptions or costs for now. I probably should have brought in some costs if I'm bringing new inventory, but for now I'm leaving it at 0, just for experience. And then the other item was PC something, PCR, and the other one was, let's go back into spreadsheet, RST. So RST, so we'll do RST. Okay, so both items are in there, which is perfect, but they have no inventory in stock, so I'm going to bring them in. So let's go into Transaction Pro Importer. Let's change to sheet 1. The import type is now going to be inventory. No, not inventory adjustment, rather. So inventory adjustment, there we go. Then next. And then I'm going to map these the same way I did it before. So this is the second example of the exact same exercise. But this time around, I want to take away some of the confusion around the cumulative, right? Because right now I don't have any cumulative. I just have a quantity adjustment. And the reason why I can do that is because I don't have that negative adjustment to make. So under account, what was it? Inventory adjustments was the account that we used. Transaction date, there's a column for that. Adjustment date, item. There's item name. Then we have adjusting quantity. So this is an additional quantity we're adding. and then the serial or lot number, in this case, lot. And then we click on next. Okay, so far so good. There's the numbers being read from the spreadsheet. Click on next, finish, and okay. Okay, perfect, hit okay. So I'm gonna go back into my report here, go to reports, inventory, lot numbers in stock, and there's all my lot numbers. Not sure what the new items are not showing in there, but I'll check a different way. I'm gonna go to list and go to item list, and then look for my new, this one RST. Let me right click on it and go to, no, actually, let me not do that. What am I trying to achieve here? Oh yeah, so I'm gonna go to reports and go to inventory, and then go to transaction list by lot number. Sometimes it's hard to remember all these things. And then do RST, and then here the drop down, it's showing perfectly. Right? And then we'll do the other one, PCR. And here the drop down shows the lot numbers that we have. Again, for some weird reason, they're not showing up on this report. This report sometimes is kind of tricky. Maybe I'll close QuickBooks, open it again, and they will show up. But one way to confirm is to create a new invoice. Pick my item here. So this item was called PCR. And then let's say I want to sell 10. And then when I click on my drop down for lot number, they're showing up there. So just confirmation that they are in the system, although for whatever crazy reason they didn't show up on that report. Okay. That's it. I'm going to do one more bonus kind of content here. Wasn't part of the original question, but I think it's important, especially because during this exercise, we're trying to get our lot numbers in stock. We're trying to get some sort of report that tell us what we have in stock in terms of lot numbers, and it's inconsistent. So I want to build my own manual inventory by lot report. Unfortunately, QuickBooks is not dependable for inventory lot reports, although they're dependable for seeing them on the transactions, not so much for a report in itself. So we're going to show you how to build that. And the way that we do that is I'm going to go to the reports menu. I'm going to click on custom reports. I'm going to click transaction detail report. And then I'm going to go into dates. And I'm going to select all dates. Then I'm going to click on filter. And I'm going to go into the item filter, item. And then I'm going to pick my inventory items or all inventory items. I can do items and assemblies if they have lot numbers too. That works. And then I click on OK. So that's essentially going to give me a list of every single transaction we have with items, with inventory items. Now I want to make sure that I click on Customize Report, and under Columns, I'm going to bring in the lot number, make sure I enable that, bring that in there, hit OK. And I also want to bring in quantities. So I'm going to go to Customize Report, and then I'm going to look for QTY and bring in quantity. That should be good enough, right? I can actually kind of get rid of all these columns if I wanted to. But for now, I just got quantity and lot number. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to export this. So I'm going to go into Excel, create new worksheet. Okay, and then click on export. So what I'm doing is I'm building the Excel inventory report from Excel because QuickBooks can do it, or I can't rely on QuickBooks to do so. Now, because I'm bringing up a transaction report of every single inventory transaction, this could take 15, 20, 30, even an hour to export, because I don't know how big your file is, and the more inventory transactions you have, the bigger this would be. There's no way to filter this to show something that contains a lot number or doesn't contain a lot number. Essentially, you have to show all of them and then do the pivot table in Excel to figure out how much you have of each of the lots. So we'll wait for this to finish, and then we'll do the report in Excel. Okay, perfect. I think that did it. So I'm going to go into Excel here. Okay, and there's my file. For now, just to avoid any confusion, I'm going to go ahead and delete everything but the item name. Okay, well, it looks like we screwed up. We didn't even bring the item name here. Good thing this happened. I'm going to close that out. Click on Don't Save. Go back into QuickBooks, Customize, and then bring in the item name. See, without the item name, this is not going to work. So bring the item name in there, and then I'm going to kind of collapse these columns onto themselves because I want the export to be a little bit faster. So essentially, I'm just collapsing them into themselves. I'm just going to keep item. I'm going to keep account. That's important. I'm going to collapse these here. Okay, always keep item, keep account, keep quantity. We'll collapse balance. Okay, then we got a bunch of debits and credits. I assume that's okay. I don't see an issue with that. I probably want to bring in amount. I think amount is just a better number to have for this type of report. And then after I have amount, I can collapse debit and credit. You'll notice that because we just enabled lot numbers, there isn't a whole bunch of lot numbers on this report. When I scroll all the way down, I can finally kind of see the lot numbers there. So it'll work only with transactions that have lot numbers. So anyway, we cleaned that up. So let's go to Excel, create a new worksheet. During the export process, I'm also going to click on Advanced and remove the space between columns. That's just annoying. Click OK, and then Export. So now I'm kind of hoping that the export will be a little bit faster because it's got less columns, less data to export into Excel. So let's see. Yeah, you can tell it's much faster, a lot less waiting for sure. Okay, so that's finished. So let's go ahead and open up the Excel file. Not that one, this one. Okay, perfect. And then what I'll do is I'll just kind of delete these excess rows and excess columns. I'm going to select the entire data set and then click on Insert and then click on Pivot Table. And then I'm going to click on OK. All right, good. So what I'll do is I'm going to bring item here, drag that into rows. Then I'm going to bring quantity, drag that into values. Okay, perfect. And then I'm going to grab actually lot number and bring that as under items. Okay. So what this will essentially do is, and what I can do is I think I can filter here. Can I filter here? I can filter here. So I'm going to click on the drop down menu and just uncheck the blank ones because I don't want to see the ones that don't have lot numbers. So I'll uncheck it here and then click OK. And then I basically just get my item name and the lot number under it. I can play with this report to make it just a little bit better, easier to read. So I can go to design here and let's do insert a blank row on each one. The report layout, let's do outline. And that might be easier. And then grand totals, we'll do off for the grand totals and off for the subtotals. So now I basically got everything I needed. In this case, it's showing as a negative number. I mean, that's should be okay. Generally speaking, you should understand that these negatives actually mean positive. But if you really, really wanted to make sure that they didn't show up as negative, you could go back here and just convert all these. I can insert a line here and do QTY2. I'll do equals the negative version of this number. It's just a simple formula. Hit enter. Hit enter and then bring that down. Okay, I can copy that and paste values. Get rid of the first one. Okay, and then done. I'll do the same thing for amount. Let's do amount 2 equal the negative version of that number. And that happens sometimes depending exactly on what we're doing. Click on that, drag that all the way down. Okay, perfect. And then we'll copy this and click on values. Okay, then we can delete the original amount. A beautiful thing. So we'll save that, or I guess we don't have to save it, but saving it anyway. Let's go back to the other sheet where the numbers are, and then I'm going to click on Analyze Pivot Table and click on Refresh. Okay, and I'm going to bring quantity 2 into values. So now it's a positive number. And then let's bring amount 2 into values as well. Okay, so now we got the dollar amount, okay, dollar amount and the quantity of each one. Unfortunately, QuickBooks doesn't have any real built-in lot number reports, at least as of version 2021. You only get the two things I showed you, lot numbers in stock and the transaction list by lot number. Anyway, I know that was a long one, tons of moving parts. Hopefully you understand exactly how QuickBooks functions with lot numbers and understand how to import those items as well. You might need assistance with this. I understand it. I've been doing QuickBooks for 12 years. I've been importing data for about 7. There's a lot of trial and error. There's a lot of making sure this works type of thing. So you decide, whether you want to try it on your own, use this video as a guideline, or hire someone like me, someone from my team to help you with that. You will make that decision. Anyway, any additional links are going to be in the description below. I actually also have other videos on Transaction Pro Importer, different transaction types. I'll put links to that as well because I think it'll be relevant for you to see other ways we can use Transaction Pro Importer to bring data into QuickBooks. Anyway, I hope you liked it, and I'll see you on the next one.